Welcome to Civil Services Achievers Point. We are discussing today the Assam Tribune of 22nd August 2020. Dear students, we are beginning with the CSAP paper very soon. We will cover the paper as per the new syllabus of APSC prelims, as APSC has already notified in its official website that the new pattern will have a separate CSAT paper, it is GS2 in preliminary stage. So students are advised to begin the preparation and practice of this paper from now on itself. We should not wait just before the prelims exam to begin the practice of this paper. So for demo classes, please call the numbers given below. So the classes will be highly beneficial to the students. At Civil Services Achievers Point, we have offline regular class, we have online live classes, we have various free initiatives. Also, we are coming up with optional classes, ethics classes, and the CSAT classes very soon. So please call at the numbers given below to avail the classes. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Telegram channels. So this Assam Tribune analysis is based on the new pattern of APSC for both preliminary and mains examination. However, it is also useful for UPSC and other state level government examinations. These are the important newspaper articles which we will discuss today. We will also discuss important editorials from the newspaper. Now the first topic which we are discussing today is the Election Commission guidelines for polls during the COVID pandemic. Now this topic we will study under the General Studies 2 paper, Polity and Constitution topic. Voters will be provided gloves while using EVMs, and COVID-19 patients in quarantine will be allowed to vote at the last hour of the polling day. So these are some of the guidelines as per the broad guidelines issued by the Election Commission on Friday for holding polls during the coronavirus pandemic. A separate set of guidelines will be issued for voters who are residing in areas notified as containment zone. The poll panel has also extended the option of postal ballot for electors who are marked as persons with disabilities and those above 80 years. So the Election Commission has separately issued a guideline that postal ballot, voting through postal system, postal ballot for electors who are marked as persons with disabilities and those persons who are above 80 years of age. Electors who are COVID-19 positive or are suspected of having the infection and in quarantine at home or at institution can also exercise the postal ballot option. So this is a very important guideline that those who are corona positive, can they vote? Yes, they can vote through the postal ballot option. An official explained that this postal ballot facility is different from the one extended to service voters. Here, those willing to use the facility have to fill up a form. Officials then carry the ballot to the residence of such voters and videograph the voting to ensure transparency. So the whole process will be videographed of the postal ballot system for the COVID-19 positive patients. COVID-19 patients who are quarantined will be allowed to cast their vote at the last hour of the poll day at their respective polling stations under the supervision of health authorities. Sector magistrates shall coordinate this in their allotted polling stations. So these are the guidelines which are for the COVID-19 patients. Bihar may become the first state to go for assembly elections during the pandemic. The polls are due in coming October and November. Asked why the norms have no mention of virtual or digital campaigning, another official said the broad guidelines have been framed based on COVID-19 guidelines issued by the Health Ministry and the Home Ministry to prevent the spread of the virus. Based on our guidelines, states will prepare their own set of 3-layered comprehensive guidelines at the state, district, and assembly constituency level. The state-specific guidelines may talk of virtual campaign. The commission has recommended mandatory sanitization of polling stations, preferably a day before the polls. So, as per the guidelines, the commission has recommended mandatory, that is compulsory sanitization of polling stations, preferably a day before the polls. Circles would be painted at polling stations to ensure social distancing. That is, circles with white marking would be given so as to provide spaces where the electors will stand so as to ensure social distancing while making a queue to give the vote. Hand gloves shall be provided to the voter for signing on the voter register and pressing button of electronic voting machine for voting. So as we know, those who have given vote till now, that before pressing the button in the electronic voting machine, we have to give a attendance or sign against our electoral voter list. So these activities have to be done by wearing a hand glove. Thermal scanners would be placed at the entry point of every polling station. Polling or paramedical staff will conduct thermal screening of voters at the entry point of a polling station. So thermal scanners to measure the temperature of every elector or voter will be done at the polling station. Polling or paramedical staff will be stationed for this screening purpose. If the temperature if the temperature of a voter is above the set norms of health ministry at first reading, then it will be checked twice. And if it remains, then the elector should be provided with a token or a certificate and will be asked to come for voting at the last hour of poll. So those who having higher temperature than the recommended levels by the health ministry will be given a token and they will be asked to come at the last hour of the polling day. At the last hour of poll, such electors shall be facilitated voting strictly following COVID-19 related preventive measures. Face masks in reserve would be kept for those electors who are not carrying one. During the process of identification of voter, the voters will require to lower the face mask for identification. There shall be maximum 1000 electors instead of 1500 electors in a polling station. In view of this, the state is already creating additional 34,000 polling stations, which is 45% more, and will increase the total number of polling stations to around 1,06,000. A group of 5 people, including candidates but excluding security personnel, is allowed to take part in door-to-door campaigning. For road shows, the commission said convoys of vehicles should be broken after every 5 vehicles instead of 10. Public gatherings and rallies can be held subject to adherence of COVID-19 guidelines. So these are some of the guidelines which are given. Students, please note of them. Please make a note of them. If any question is asked regarding the various guidelines for conducting the polls, then these points may be used by the students. Now coming to our next topic, frame strategies for food output and farmers' income as advised by the panel. Now this topic we will study under General Studies 3 paper topic Economic Development, further subtopic Agriculture. The Advisory Committee for Revitalization of the State's Economy in the backdrop of COVID-19 pandemic situation has warned that a substantial population engaged in the agriculture sector might abandon agro practices if loss compensation and income doubling options were not put in place with a reasonable time frame. So the advisory committee, so these recommendations are very important. Students often ask that how to conclude an answer. So if any question regarding the revitalization or doubling of farmers income, or how to engage the farmer population with more benefits in the farm sector, so such type of questions can be concluded with the recommendations of such committees advises. So the advisory committee for revitalization of the state's economy in the backdrop of COVID-19 pandemic situation has warned that a substantial population engaged in the agriculture sector might abandon agro practices. So a substantial population may abandon the agro practices if loss compensation due to the COVID-19 lockdown and floods and erosion and other natural calamities, disasters, the loss which incurred. So if the loss is not compensated and income doubling options are not put in place within a specific time period, then the population may leave the agro practices. If the local farmers and youths were not retained in farming by providing necessary support from seed to market, so from input to output, this sector of primary economy of the state might slip to ecological migrants. The panel report stated and suggested that it is the right time to frame effective policies and strategies with the agenda for increasing food production and doubling the farmers' income immediately from the ongoing Kharif season. So the panel has suggested that if the local farmers and youths are not retained in the farming sector by providing necessary support right from the seed to the marketing of the produce, the primary sector economy of the primary sector of the economy of the state might slip to ecological migrants. That means they will migrate to other activities. Either they will move to urban areas for laborers, daily wage laborers, or they will move to other states. The panel report stated and suggested that it is the right time to frame effective policies and strategies with the agenda for increasing food production and doubling the farmers' income immediately from the ongoing Kharif season, calling for strengthening the local food production chain and to augment its ability to respond and plan timely to procure and market the farmers' produce for avoid losses. It noted that the disruption of national and global food supply chain could trigger a severe food crisis in the state. So the panel called for strengthening the local food production chain and to augment its ability, that is to support or increase its ability to respond and plan timely to procure and market the farmers produce for avoiding losses. So the local food production chain has to be strengthened, and the ability to respond and plan timely to procure and market the farmers produce, the various vegetables and the crops produced by the farmers, to market them in order to avoid losses. The panel noted that the disruption of national and global food supply chain could trigger a severe food crisis in the state, and the reason terming non-availability of real-time community-wise data on acres covered, quantity produced, and prices for precise assessment of the impact of the pandemic and the lockdown as a major weakness. The report said that unpreparedness to face the crisis in the livestock sector caused distress sale or killing of birds and scarcity of quality eggs, etc. So the report further said that the unpreparedness to face the crisis in the livestock sector caused distress sell. Distress sell means panic sell or sell at very low prices, and or killing of birds or the various poultry birds, and the scarcity of quality eggs, limited awareness among the farming community about the impending impact of the disease on the supply chain of their produce, and inadequate infrastructure such as cold storage facility led to loss and wastage of fruits and vegetables. So the awareness was limited among the farming community about the impact, about the coming impact of the disease on the supply chain of their produce, and inadequate infrastructure such as cold storage facility led to loss and wastage of fruits and vegetables. The panel pointed out that there was scope of attaining self-sufficiency in food production and even going beyond to capture regional, national, and global food markets. There are emerging prospects to promote secondary agricultural entrepreneurs, such, for example, input supplier, processors, etc., with backward and forward linkages among the local people, including the returned migrants. So the panel further said that there are certain emerging prospects to promote the secondary agricultural entrepreneurs, that is the food processing sector, with both backward and forward linkages, meaning backward linkages with the input like the local people, the especially the including the returned migrants, the skills of the migrants can be used with backward linkages, and the forward linkages means improved cold storages, better market prices, better distribution of the crops. So these are the forward linkages. There is also scope to produce green commandos with necessary level of skilling along the value chain from food production to consumption. Besides, scope to strengthen the infrastructure for food and agro-processing industry from post-harvest handling to marketing. So there is a scope for green commandos with necessary level of skilling, so that the value chain from food, right from the food production to consumption, that is from the market, from the harvesting food production to the market uh, consumption level, there was a huge scope. Also, besides these, there is also further scope to strengthen the infrastructure, the secondary agriculture, that is a secondary industry, that is the infrastructure for food and agro processing industry. This is a very important agri and allied industry, food and agro processing industry. So these scopes should be strengthened and utilized so as to optimize the farmer income level, and also with the aim of doubling it. It also suggested developing market intelligence based production planning for complementary and supplementary agriculture within and outside the state, and to march towards food sovereignty with the idea of our land, our culture, our food, our identity, in the line of local and vocal campaign initiated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So the panel further made certain very important suggestions, that developing market intelligence based production planning. So demand of the market, now based on the demand of the market, the production can be planned for complementary and supplementary agriculture within and outside the state, for both the within the state market and outside the state market, and to march towards food sovereignty, with the idea of our land, our culture, our food, our identity. So this is a very important line. Students, please make a note of this paragraph, and in any question regarding doubling the farmers and increasing the farmer of increasing the income of the farmer, this paragraph can be issued. So that is why in our daily current affairs classes we discuss the news in detail, because the various committee and various panel recommendations are mentioned, and we have to note them in our respective notes of our general studies topic. Like this topic is under the general studies topic economic development, further subtopic agriculture. So these points may be used by students in the mains body and also in conclusion. So these will greatly boost your marks in the mains examination. Now coming to the next topic, Guwahati among dirtiest cities in country. Now this topic we will study under General Studies 1, Indian Society. The Guwahati city is one of the dirtiest cities of the country in the main category of 1 lakh to 10 lakh population in the country, according to Swachh Survekshan 2020, the results of which were announced by the Union Housing and Urban Affairs Minister. The Guwahati city ranked 356 out of the 382 cities in the category. Shillong ranked 377. Jorhat was declared as the cleanest city in the Northeast in the 50,000 to 1 lakh population category, according to a survey. Tezpur was declared second in the same category, followed by Bongaigaon, Diffu, Thuburi, Sibsagar, North Lakhimpur, Gwalpara, Karimganj, and Tinsukia. Though the state government has been spending crores of rupees through the Guwahati Municipal Corporation (GMC) to keep the city clean. The Guwahati slipped to 356th rank from 303rd rank in 2019. So in 1 year, it slipped below 53 position. The Guwahati Municipal Corporation last year had taken several initiatives, including forming flying squads, especially for waste management, cash reward, etc., to keep the city clean, but it was not successful as expected. Former GMC Commissioner Deveswar Malakar had said last year that the GMC had set a target to come in the top 20 positions in the Swachh Survekshan 2020, but it was nowhere near that mark. Assam, however, received the award for the fastest mover state of the country among the states having less than 100 urban local bodies. Tezpur Municipal Board was named the best city in citizens' feedback in the Northeast in the category of 50,000 to 1 lakh population, while the Sibsagar Municipal Board emerged best city in innovation and best practices. In the same category, Karimganj received best sustainable city. This is the fifth edition of the survey that was introduced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2016. Meanwhile, voluntary organization Safe Guwahati Build Guwahati raised concerns regarding the poor performance of the Guwahati city in Swachh Survekshan 2020. SGBG General Secretary Kailash Sharma attributed the poor performance of Guwahati to the officials of the Guwahati Development Department and the Guwahati Municipal Corporation. Now coming to the next topic, Gadkari reviews road projects to monitor plantation along the national highways. Now this topic we will study under the General Studies 3 paper, Economic Development. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari today stressed the need for utilizing modern and green technologies in highways construction besides reducing the cost of road building by at least 25%. The Road Transport Minister also launched a mobile app, Harit Path, to monitor plantation along the national highways. Now, this is a very important point. A prelims-based MCQ question may be asked in APSC and also in UPSC that what is the utility or which department or which ministry or what is the use of the mobile app Harit Path. So we will know that the Harit Path app is to monitor the plantation along the national highways. Chairing a meeting via video conference to review new green highways policy plantation and discuss use of new technologies in road construction, Gadkari said it should be the ministry's mission to reduce cost of construction by 25%, and for this, new technologies are required. So the importance of science and technology in development. So this is a linkage of use of technology in our socio-economic developmental programs. So the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways said in a statement, Gadkari, who also holds the MSME portfolio, stressed on utilizing modern and green technologies in road construction all over the country. The minister launched Harit Path, a mobile app to monitor the plantations through geotagging and web-based GIS-enabled monitoring tools. The app has been developed by NHAI to monitor location, growth, specific details, maintenance activities and targets and achievements of each of its field units for each and every plant under plantation projects. So this is the utility of the app Harit Path. Now, while inaugurating the mobile app, the minister emphasized on strict monitoring of plantation and transplantation of trees. The minister suggested that specialized persons, agencies should be hired for plantation of trees along the highways. He suggested involving NGOs, self-help groups and horticulture and forest department in this. The officials assured that they will be able to achieve the goal of 100% plantation on highways by March 2022. While discussing the issue of transplantation of trees, Gadkari said that it should be our mission to save all the trees from being cut, and specialized agencies equipped with new technologies should be hired for the purpose. The minister stressed upon using local indigenous material like jute, coir, etc. for strengthening purposes. Gadkari also said that right choice of species suiting local conditions is also very important. So the species of trees for planting is the choice of the species is also very important. He said that specific areas like hilly, border, and coastal areas need different approach and technologies, because we know that in hilly areas the roots of the trees have to be stronger so as to hold the land from avoiding landslide. Also in coastal areas, we need mangroves. The contribution of mangroves along the coastal areas of India in preventing or in minimizing the damage caused by the cyclones is a very important topic. So we will cover that in our geography classes. The minister appreciated the use of such technology in road construction in Andaman and Nicobar, and motivated motivated the National Highways and Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited to follow the example in rest of the projects. Meanwhile, the National Highways Authority (NHAI) in a statement said the mobile app Harit Path launched by the minister will provide digital address to every tree planted along the national highways. The GPS-based app has been developed by the NHAI to monitor location, growth, species details, maintenance activities, targets, and achievements of each of its field units for each and every plant under plantation projects. So to commemorate 25 years of its service to the nation, the NHAI of India, the National Highways Authority of India, has also recently undertaken the Harit Bharat Sankalp, a nationwide plantation drive which is in line with NHAI's commitment to promote environment protection and sustainability. Under this initiative, the NHAI planted over 25 lakh plants in 25 days along the stretches of the national highways between July 21 and August 15, 2020. The drive takes the total cumulative number of plantations done during the current year to 35.22 lakh. So this is a very important topic regarding the plantation of trees along the national highways. Now coming to the next topic, Facebook says will purge hateful posts by public figures in India. Now, this is a very highly debated and highly in news topic that Facebook has recently said that it will purge hateful posts by public figures in India. Now, this topic we will study under the General Studies 3 paper topic security. Facing intense political heat in India over its alleged role in favoring the Bharatiya Janata Party on its platform, social networking giant Facebook on Friday clarified its position, saying it has removed and will continue to remove content posted by public figures in India which violate its community standards. The vice president and managing director, Facebook India, said in a statement that Facebook has always been an open, transparent, and non-partisan platform where people can express themselves freely. Over the last few days, we have been accused of bias in the way we enforce our policies. We take the allegations of bias incredibly seriously and want to make it clear that we denounce hate and bigotry in any form, the vice president and managing director of Facebook said. He was referring to the controversy generated after a Wall Street Journal report claimed that Facebook's content regulation policies favored the BJP. The Wall Street Journal report sparked a widespread debate in India, raised serious questions over Facebook's content regulation practices. The report claimed that Facebook India's public policy head had told staff members that punishing violations by BJP politicians would damage the company's business prospects. Further, the managing director of Facebook said the policies at Facebook are ever evolving to take into account the local sensitivities, especially in a multicultural society such as India. So this is a very important point that social media platforms, the policies of social media platforms such as Facebook should be ever evolving to take into account the local sensitivities, especially in a cultural society such as India. An example is the inclusion of caste as a protected characteristic in our global hate speech policy in 2018. Facebook India chief said that the employees represent a varied political spectrum who have either served in many administrations or political experiences and take immense pride in being active contributors to public service. Despite hailing from diverse political affiliations and backgrounds, they perform their respective duties and interpret our policies in a fair and non-partisan way. The decisions around content escalations are not made unilaterally by just one person. Rather, they are inclusive of views from different teams and disciplines within the company. So the various decisions taken around are not taken by individual person, but they are taken from a diverse teams and disciplines within the company. Amid the debate, the BJP's IT cell chief has claimed that Mohan worked with the planning commission during the UPA era. So according to Mohan, there is no place for hate speech on Facebook, but they need to do more. Further, it is said that we know this work is never over, which is why we will continue to invest in our efforts to combat hate speech on our services. We welcome the opportunity to engage with all parties, political or otherwise, who want to understand our content policies and enforcement more. So this is said so as to add the Facebook's commitment to India and its people. The Congress party has demanded that Facebook should order a high-level inquiry into its leadership team and their operations in a time-bound manner and publish and make transparent all instances of hate speech since 2014 that were allowed on the platform. Now, next topic we are discussing with respect to Assam is very important. The State Innovation and Transformation Ayog SITA bid to rope in British Council for Professional Development of Teachers. So this topic we will study under the paper General Studies on Assam Governance topic. The State Innovation and Transformation Ayog SITA is trying to rope in British Council as the state's partner in the areas of professional development initiatives for teachers of elementary and secondary schools, development of communication skills of the state's civil servants, capacity building program for faculty and early career researchers in higher education and cultural sectors. The British Council is the United Kingdom's international organization for cultural relations and educational opportunities. These issues were discussed during a recent virtual meeting between SITA and British Council. The meeting was the result of the efforts made by the SITA for quite some time to convince British Council to collaborate with the Assam government for capacity building in the areas for English learning from the primary school level and in developing school libraries, proper methodology for heritage and culture conservation. According to SITA OSD, the Manijoti Barua, SITA in its presentation at the meeting said, among others, that it wants to improve the English language teaching and learning across pre-primary, primary and secondary school levels in all vernacular medium schools of the state. This will in the long run help in building the students' capacities to take the plunge into higher studies and thus enhance their employability. So this step has been taken to improve the employability of the students so as to improve the quality of the labor force or the workforce. It further said that improving the teaching skills of the faculty in higher education sector also needs immediate attention from an intervention. New and scientific teaching methodology, including online teaching and online content development, are very essential at this level. British Council representatives highlighted the need to focus on specific areas such as strengthening of capacity building in education institutions, teachers and faculty, and internationalizing higher education. They said that English language training, ELT, developing master trainers, capacity building workshops, etc., are their strength, and they can come up with a range of options depending on the situations. In the last 2 years alone, they have trained over 660 teachers across the Northeast in the classroom methodologies and created a pool of 348 master trainers through an agreement with the Northeastern Council. British Council recently conducted a scoping study in collaboration with the Center for Development and Research in Education (CDARE) at Sheffield Hallam University on the status of science and mathematics teaching and learning in the Northeast India middle schools. Now coming to our next very important topic. So coming to our next topic, weavers of Sualkuchi forced to make distress sell. Now, this topic we will study under the General Studies on Assam paper, topic Economy of Assam. Known for its delicate weave, exclusive pattern, and splendid design, Sualkuchi silk has always been a wardrobe essential for every woman in the state. Now, this is a very good line regarding any question in APSC mains. This statement can be used, that known for its delicate weave, exclusive pattern, and splendid design, Sualkuchi silk has always been a wardrobe essential for every woman in the state. But cheap machine-made fabrics and other clothes made from artificial yarns, besides the coronavirus-induced lockdown and floods, have pushed the Sualkuchi handloom industry into distress. So, any news in the newspaper regarding the indigenous or the handicraft sector of Assam is very important for the Assam paper in APSC mains, because Assam's economy depends, not only economy, our Assamese society is very deeply involved with these indigenous industries, be it our Zapi industry in Nolbari based Zapi industry, be it the bell metal industry of Khortebari, be it the weaving industry or handloom industry of Palgusi, the mukha, the various mask and mukha khilpo or the mask industry in the Mazuli. So these are some of the very important indigenous industry of Assam. And if any any such of the topic is in news, then those topics should be covered by us. Furthermore, the newspaper article says, furthermore, excessive profit motive of the traders have compounded the woes of the weavers, as they were compelled to sell their products at the rate fixed by the traders, which is even less than the cost price. The condition of the weavers and artisans who have been preserving this centuries-old cultural heritage is gradually worsening, as a result of which some of them have even switched over to other sources of livelihood like selling fish, meat, and vegetables. So, the condition of the weavers and the artisans who have been preserving this centuries old cultural heritage is gradually worsening. So the condition is worsening, as a result of which some of them have started selling vegetables, meat, and fish. Due to their poor financial condition, the educated youths of the loomeless weaver families had to work as daily wage laborers at different industrial estates in the state. The weavers and the artisans who are still preserving the reputation of the silk industry of the village against all odds have suffered huge losses, as they failed to even recover the cost price of their products. The recent survey revealed that when the weavers are forced to resort to distress sell, the traders are making hefty profits. So, though the market price is sufficient, the traders are making the profits. However, the actual artisans and the craftsmen are not gaining the share of their profit. The traders are making hefty profits by selling their products. The current market price of plain mulberry clothes measuring 91 centimeter in breadth and 12 meter in length is between 5,500 and 6,000 against the cost price of rupees 5,000. The weavers are now having no other option but to sell it to the traders at 4,000, 5,000, 4,500. Likewise, they are forced to sell a piece of mekhela made from mulberry silk at rupees 850, which is even less than its cost price of 900. The producers get only between 7,000 to 7,500 for each pair of mulberry sadar mekhela with exclusive patterns against its cost price of rupees 8,500, but the same is sold by the traders at a market price of 15,000. So you see the cost price is around 8,500 and they are selling it around 7,000 or 7,500. However, the traders are selling at a market with rupees 15,000. It is twice the price. The excessive profit motive of the traders has led to a gradual decline of the Sualkuchi handloom industry since 2013. The condition of the weavers and artisans further deteriorated due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but the government needs to take steps in improving the marketing facilities and in promoting the cultural heritage of this village, which was visited by Mahatma Gandhi in 1946 and by former President APJ Abdul Kalam in 2006. Now coming to our next topic, Swachh Survekshan 2020, Hailakandi wins Best City in Innovation Best Practices category. Now this topic we will study under General Studies 1 paper, Indian Society topic. Hailakandi district of South Assam has emerged as numero uno, means number 1 in Assam, as the best city in innovation and best practices under Swachh Survekshan 2020. This was announced by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, during the virtual platform Swachh Mahotsav Award ceremony on Thursday. The Hailakandi Municipal Board in the category of population ranging from 25,000 to 50,000 emerged as number 1 in Assam out of 17 urban local bodies and number 3 in the Northeast zone out of 29 urban local bodies. The Hailakandi Municipal Board, with a population of 33,637, according to the population census of 2011, has a total of 17 wards. The Deputy Commissioner, Executive Officer of the Municipal Board, Tridip Roy, and other officials were present in the video conferencing when the results were announced. Deputy Commissioner complimented all the ex-board members, former Deputy Commissioner, the municipal board, and the Swachh Bharat teams of Hailakandi, including the Safai Karmacharis, for bagging the prestigious award and bringing laurels to the district. Now coming to the next important topic, the PSBs, the public sector banks, will need rupees 2.1 lakh crore as per the Moody's. Now this topic we will study under the General Studies 3 paper, topic Economic Development. Public sector banks will need external capital of up to rupees 2.1 lakh crore over the next 2 years, and the most likely source to plug this shortfall will be government support. According to Moody's, the sharp slowdown in India's economic growth exacerbated by the virus outbreak. That means the sharp slowdown in India's economic growth, further increased by the virus outbreak, will hurt the asset quality of the public sector banks and drive up the credit costs. We expect to see the PSBs already weak capital buffers to be depleted with rupees 1.9 trillion rupees 1.9 trillion to rupees 2.1 trillion, that is US dollars 25 billion to 28 billion in external capital needed over the next 2 years to restore loss absorbing buffers, the Vice President of Moody's said. PSBs dominate India's banking system, meaning any failure could jeopardize financial stability. As such, we expect government support will remain forthcoming. In a report titled Coronavirus Fallout Will Leave Banks with Capital Shortages Again, Moody's said asset quality will decrease led by retail and small business loans. According to Moody's, Indian economy will contract sharply in fiscal year ending March 2021 before returning to growth through though modestly in fiscal 2021. As a result, formation of new non-performing loans (NPLs) will accelerate substantially, driven by the retail and micro, small and medium enterprises segments. Although one-time loan restructuring allowed by the RBI will prevent a sudden increase in non-performing loans and credit costs will increase in the next 2 years, hurting PSBs already weak profitability and depleting their capitalization. It said further that banks will face large capital shortfalls again as credit costs rise. Moody's said to maintain financial stability, government will continue to provide capital support for the PSBs. Now we will study the important editorials of the newspaper. The first topic which we are discussing today is the Beyond Politics editorial. This topic we will study under the General Studies 3 paper topic security. There are numerous societal aberrations that should be seen to be beyond politics. One of the most exigent of these is the phenomenon of fake and doctored material being deliberately placed on social media platforms to provide political objectives. The proliferation of fake news has coincided with mankind's enhanced ability to make the unreal seem real, and today even a trained operative faces difficulty in separating the true. So this point may be added that whether the social media is a ban or a boon. So the technology has advanced as such that the fake news is intermixed with the proper real news, that it is hard to separate the two. It is indeed a tough ask for social media platforms having, as they do, global users running into many billions to effectively monitor fake and motivated news, which often opens the window to mischief mongers to pursue their nefarious agendas. The problem of social media management is exacerbated by the fact that many governments and political parties in the world engage in purveying disinformation to interfere with elections, broaden their own bases by publishing propaganda, hate messages, etc. To give devil his due, social media platform operators have erected mechanisms to remove violative and reduce the spread of borderline content, but have not yet achieved the desired results. In such a context, it is up to each stakeholder in every country to monitor the performance of social media managements in a bipartisan manner, that is, and ensure above all that these not only continue to do their jobs but also refrain from indulging in showing partiality to any particular entities. So it is the responsibility of every stakeholder in every country to monitor if the social media platforms are showing partiality to any particular party or bodies or any entity. Unfortunately, in India, everything become politicalized, and even an issue like presence of fake news on social media, which should be tackled unitedly, becomes a bone of contention. Apparently, the Wall Street Journal had carried a report claiming that Facebook deliberately ignored disruptive content from members of the ruling BJP and right-wing groups even after the issue was flagged internally by Mark Zuckerberg. Congress party's Rahul Gandhi had referred to the report in a tweet leading to the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Information Technology headed by Congressman Shashi Tharoor to summon Facebook representatives on September 2 seeking clarification. The outcome has been a political storm with two BJP members of the Standing Committee calling for the removal of Tharoor from the post of the panel chief. It must be noted that the committee has also asked representatives of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology to be present at the meeting to discuss on the subject of safeguarding citizens' rights and prevention of misuse of social and online news media platforms. This is an issue of urgent importance which needs to be discussed in a high-level forum such as the Parliamentary Standing Committee on IT, especially since it alleges bias on the part of a specific social platform. Achieving clarity on a matter of immense social importance will not only be attained by resignation of the committee chief, but by threadbare discussions in an appropriate forum. So there has been many demands. So further developments in the news, in the topic, we will discuss further. The next topic in our editorial discussion is a very important, is the healthcare priorities. This topic discusses that during the coronavirus pandemic, there are also other people with other diseases, so they might have been getting less preference during this pandemic. So this editorial discusses the various dimensions and also how to certain positive steps in that regard, certain recommendations. So this topic we will study under the General Studies 2 paper, topic governance. The extraordinary and obsessive focus of the health authorities and the government machinery on the COVID-19 pandemic has seriously impacted medical care for people suffering from other diseases, especially the non-communicable diseases or NCDs. According to a study by the WHO covering 155 countries, prevention and treatment for NCDs have been severely disrupted since the COVID-19 pandemic began. The survey confirmed that the impact is global, but that low-income countries are the most affected. So according to a survey by the WHO covering 155 countries, prevention and treatment for the non-communicable diseases have been severely impacted since the COVID-19 pandemic began. The survey confirmed that the impact is global, but the low-income countries are the most affected. This situation is all the more disturbing because people living with the NCDs are at higher risk of COVID-19 related illness and death. This upsetting phenomenon, characterized by non-COVID patients not getting timely access to treatment, has been widespread across India. In Assam also, we have had several reported cases in which patients with serious disorders were denied timely medical care, which resulted in death. On many occasions, people with NCDs such as diabetes, cancer, etc., were found unwilling to approach medical care due to the nonsensical COVID-19 protocols, which debar doctors from attending to them for a long time pending results of COVID-19 tests. So on many occasions, people with NCDs, that is non-communicable diseases such as cancer, diabetes, heart-related problems, were found, people with the non-communicable diseases were found unwilling to approach medical care due to the nonsensical COVID-19 protocols, which debar doctors from attending to them for a long time. Because doctors are advised to attend to the COVID-19 patients first, so the non-communicable diseases patients feel that they are not properly attended to, so they don't approach the hospital or the doctors. It is for the government and the medical fraternity to devise a mechanism for ensuring that such patients are not denied essential medical care during the pandemic. It is a shocking reflection on governance that, as WHO has observed, people who need treatment for cancer, cardiovascular diseases, and diabetes have not been receiving health services and medicines they need since the COVID-19 pandemic. The non-communicable diseases kill 41 million people every year, equivalent to 71% of all deaths. So more than 70% of all deaths every year are ascribed to the non-communicable disease patients. According to the WHO survey, more than half, 53% of the countries surveyed have partially or completely disrupted treatment for hypertension, 49% for diabetes, and 42% for cancer, and 31% for cardiovascular emergencies. So according to the WHO survey, more than half of the countries surveyed have partially or completely disrupted or stopped treatment for the pressure, this is the hypertension, diabetes, cancer, and cardiovascular emergencies. Rehabilitation services has been another casualty. The contagion, which coincided with the outbreak of the dreaded Japanese encephalitis in the state, has already adversely affected the fight against Japanese encephalitis. The rate of sample collection to detect the JE has gone down considerably compared to last year, something that would hinder timely detection of cases, which in turn could prove fatal for the affected populace. The state has so far recorded 311 cases of Japanese encephalitis this year, with the disease already claiming 44 lives. During this period last year, the Japanese encephalitis had claimed 147 lives while affecting 618 people. Given the high fatality rate, the government should make it a priority to detect and treat the Japanese encephalitis patients even as it is engaged in the battle against COVID-19. The Japanese encephalitis has been a killer for over a decade. The need is to facilitate alternative strategies for continuing medical care to non-COVID patients. A streamlined delivery mechanism can ensure that health services are better equipped to prevent, diagnose, and provide care for the non-communicable diseases in any circumstances. So with these students, we are coming to an end. Many important points were discussed. The students are advised to make a note of it and use them in our answers. So students, as civil services achievers point, we have various courses. Please call at the number given below to avail these courses so as to have a sure shot rank in the upcoming APSC examinations. I hope this class was very helpful in understanding the newspapers topics as per our syllabus. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you.